In the Personal Goals Progress Plan Table Values assignment, you will start by reviewing the exemplar and use it as a guide to complete one table per student below. You will then need to make a copy of the Personal Goal Progress Plan line graphs spreadsheet. Use the workspace to create your line graphs and embed your line graphs in the spaces provided below. In the example I'm creating for you, I'll choose a set of activities, determine a certain number of hours per day, hours per week, number of items per month to complete the table values. In my first example, I will start with exercise. I want to start exercising. How much time do I plan to devote to this? I will start with a goal of 0.5 hours a day. In other words, a half hour a day. This turns into the equation H equals 0.5 times D. Why? H, being the number of hours, is equal to 0.5, which is the value I chose, or the number of hours I chose per day, times the number of days. So now, if I'm trying to figure out how much I will have exercise after one day, that is 1 times my value, 0.5, 0.5. After 2 days, 2 times 0.5, that is 1. After 3 days, 3 times 0.5, that is 1.5. And again, continue the process by taking the number of days multiplied by this value, which you determined as your goal, and that will give you the value of the number of hours. Continue this process until completing the table. And now you're ready to create your sentences. In this case, I want to write a sentence that determines how much time I've exercised after 7 days, which is equivalent to 1 week, after 30 days, which is equivalent to about 1 month, and after 365 days, which is equivalent to about 1 year. So at this rate, I will exercise 3.5 hours in 1 week. At this rate, I will exercise 15 hours in 1 month. And at this rate, I will exercise 182.5 hours in 1 year. I will come back to show you how to use the spreadsheet to create your line graph and insert your graph here. For my second activity, I am choosing practicing guitar. I will determine that I'm going to practice 3 hours per week. Therefore, my equation is H for the number of hours is equal to 3, which is the value I determined, times W, which is the number of weeks. Let's go ahead and begin calculating. After 1 week, I will have practiced 1 times 3, 3 hours. After 2 weeks, I will have practiced 2 times 3, 6 hours. After 3 weeks, I will have practiced 3 times 3, 9 hours. If I continue this process all the way down to complete my table, that means at this rate, I will practice guitar for about 12 hours in 1 month. At this rate, I will practice guitar for about 78 hours in half a year. At this rate, I will practice guitar for about 156 hours in 1 year. For my third activity, I am choosing cooking. This one I will determine by a number of items per month, because I wouldn't set a goal to practice cooking for, say, 2 hours a day, 3 hours a week. It would be based more on a number of recipes. So here, I want to learn 4 new recipes per month. Therefore, I'm going to change the word item in this column to recipes. So this time, my equation is R for recipes is equal to 4 times the M for months. So that means after 1 month, I will have learned 4 new recipes, 1 times 4. After 2 months, I will have learned 2 times 4, that is 8 new recipes. After 3 months, I will have learned, that's 3 times 4, 12 new recipes. Continue the process until completing the rest of your table. In this section of the video, I will show you how to use a spreadsheet to complete your table of values and then use that table of values to create your line graph. Let's start by changing the activity name. My first activity was exercises. How much time did I determine I will devote to this a day? Half an hour. In other words, 0.5 hours. In my equation, H for the number of hours is equal to 0.5 times B for the number of days. How do we create the equation here in the spreadsheet? In the spreadsheet, H represents the column B. D represents column A. So we will actually use these letters in any portion of our equation as needed. To determine the number of hours I will have exercised after one day, I will double click in this cell, type the equals symbol. Now I will type my number, which is 0.5, the number of hours I'm devoting to exercise a day, times using Shift 8, and then I will multiply by the cell to the left. In other words, the number of days that's to the left of this cell, 1. Without typing the number 1, I'm simply selecting the cell, which is A4. It's in column A, row 4. So I will multiply 0.5 times column A, row 4. Now, that's automatically telling me that the answer is 0.5. In my spreadsheet, I am being suggested to autofill the rest of the table by following this pattern. Take the number on the left, which is the number of days, and always multiply by 0.5. I can go ahead and check this off to autofill, but if you do not receive this option, then the way you can do this is you click on this blue box on the bottom right-hand corner of the cell, drag it all the way down to where you want this pattern of multiplying by 0.5 to continue, and let go. So when I let go, what I'm telling the spreadsheet is always take the value on the left, in other words, the number of days, multiply by 0.5. We can cross-check that. So let's double-check, for example, the 7-day mark. If I double-click here, you'll notice the formula here is 0.5 times A10, because this is column A, row 10. So this is the way you use an equation to have a spreadsheet complete a table of values for you. The next step is to create the line graph. I will select days, hours, all the way down to the last values. I will now use the insert chart option. I'm going to look for the graph icon, which says the words insert chart when you hover over it. I click to insert a graph for the data I've selected. It's automatically selected the type of graph it believes I want to use. In this case, the chart type happens to be a line graph, which is what I want to use this time around. If you ever need a different type of graph, you can look through the options below and select the appropriate type of graph. I will now change the title, exercise, hours per day. My X and Y axis already have the assigned names that came from the table. Days for the X axis, hours for the Y axis. So I do not need to change anything. My graph is ready to be used. To copy my chart, I will click on the 3 dots, select copy chart. Now I'm ready to paste this into my document. Now that I'm back on my document, I will insert my graph in this last row of the first table, edit, paste. When pasting the chart, you will get 2 options, link to spreadsheet or paste and linked. In this case, you want to link to spreadsheet. This allows you to make changes if needed to the spreadsheet and then simply have those corrections be made here without doing double the work. So I will paste. And now your chart is embedded in your document. Continue this process for the rest of the activities.